The galaxy is burning, brother fights brother, and treason splits the Imperium of Man. This is the Horus Heresy. Whether you're a warrior of the Legionis Astartes, an adept of the Mechanicum, or a mortal in a galaxy of madness, you'll find your place here. Welcome to the Remembrancer's Retreat, broadcasting deep within the bowels of the vengeful spirit. Hello and welcome to the Remembrancer's Retreat, a Warhammer 30k podcast. My name is Jesse, I'm here with Will, and we have two special guest stars today. We have Dave Taylor of Dave Taylor Miniatures, and Yep.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I wasn't sure if I should jump in.
I'm not used to people just on the gun like that. That's pretty awesome. I'm used to like 5 seconds, and then they say hi.
Right. Sorry.
And also, a very special guest, we have Bose, the terrain tutor. How you doing today?
I'm fine here, mate. And look at that professional intro. You see, I have to take Dave around with me, but come on, man.
No, mate, it's to make you look good. Really.
Oh, yeah, he does this very well, you know.
That's a really good hype man to have on your team there, Mel. That's solid.
It's a perfect partnership, mate. It's working very well.
Yeah.
So we have you guys on here for a particular reason. Well, we'd love to do small chat and that kind of stuff, and we'll do some of it. What are you guys doing? You guys have got like some little project going on, right? I'm not exactly sure about this thing. I don't know. Some sort of Kickstarter that got like fully funded on its first day. I don't know. What's the deal with?
Dave, over to you.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Just a little project. I think basically we're kickstarting, crowdfunding a terrain book. Basically, I think the best thing to say about it is, so the name is Terrain Essentials, and the tagline that we're using at the moment is an essential guide to building tabletop terrain. So it's, I think if we think back to like 20 years ago when Games Workshop put out like the How to Make War Games terrain book.
Yeah, that's the one that had like the bunker stencil you could cut out, sort of, right?
Yeah.
Cardboard, then glue that together, yeah.
Yep. So imagine that, but not dialed up to 11, but dialed up to like 15, and covering all sorts of different things, and all of it put together by my partner in crime, Bose, the terrain tutor.
That Passover, Matt. I'll be honest with you. You're getting there, Dave. Yes.
I'm trying, mate. I'm trying.
To be perfectly honest, this little project of ours, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. But yeah, we're doing a book, okay? Obviously, my thing is terrain, and I've been doing the YouTube thing for about 5-6 years now. Terrain's always been a passion all through my life. And me and Dave actually go back quite a way, long before the actual channel and back to my blogging days when I used to be an Imperial Guard blogger and he was doing his Blood Pact. And we decided we'd team up to do a book, and, I saw it as one chance to get, something out there with what I know to help as many people as possible, because that's what I'm about, helping people to build terrain. And so it was like, right, let's do it. We put it together. I had doubts. Dave was confident. I had doubts. It wasn't until I'd come back from Beasts of War in about probably a week that I started to become confident that we'd even fund. I thought, well, fund 2-3 weeks in, maybe get a stretch goal or two. If possible, get to the hardback, but that was really asking for it. Yeah. Got to the Friday before we were launching. Yeah. We were having a launch party, so we were doing it live because, obviously I'm a YouTuber and this sort of thing. And, had a word with Dave, said, right, it's going to be a couple of hours. We'll get the ball rolling. If we can do 10, 15, 20% on the first day, that would be brilliant. Was it 8 minutes for the first 10%, Dave?
Yeah, it was. It was about that. Yep. So it was kind of like,
awesome.
I guess this won't be a short sort of live stream launch party.
It was actually kind of torturous, actually, looking back on it, because what sort of happened was, obviously, we had this mass surge at the start, yeah, and then as time went on, obviously, every hour, it went down slightly, as you would expect, but we got to about hour 5 or 6, hour 6, Yeah, and the project, we were working out how many backers per hour, and we sort of worked out that we were just out of funding within the 8-hour block that YouTube would let us stream for. And we were literally left with this dilemma of, right, do we cut it short at 80% funded? Yeah, and sort of avoid the getting to like 3 or 4 backers off and YouTube cutting us off.
Uh-huh.
In the party, or do we stick with it, but it could become one of those torturously long things that doesn't fulfill, what I mean, which is like a sort of a damp, sure. It's like, you've had a launch party where you get to 98%, everyone's had a great time, but everyone feels it could have been just that little bit better. Or do we like drag it out and then try, when YouTube cuts us off, try and restart a new live stream, get everyone over, then hope we can drag out those last few? And I think we just to finish off, we funded with about 22 minutes of streaming left to go. Yeah, so it was really close. Yeah, but wow, what a party to fund a book in one live stream. I just didn't see that coming.
That's just amazing.
It was incredible. I was sitting there answering a lot of the questions, the sort of the technical questions about the campaign, about the book and that sort of thing. And Mel was doing just talking about what he wanted to do with the book and what he was excited to see happen. And it was at Mel's house with his family. His son and daughter were there. His wife came home sort of right towards the end of it.
And helping us out all through it.
Yeah, Jace was there. But for me, it was just me sitting on my couch with my laptop for 7.5 hours. So it was it was great. It was one of those things where I really wish I could have been there at Mel's place.
It was a party atmosphere, though. I mean, obviously, with it being at home, and within the first sort of 10 minutes, it sort of became a reality of, oh my God, even if it didn't happen on the launch party, I'm going to be doing a book. One of the little things that I'd sort of said to the kids is, obviously, off the back of the book, there's going to be a bit left over. Dave needs paying. I've got to invest time in building the train and writing the words and that sort of stuff. But there'll be a chunk, and I'd sort of promised the kids that, we'll go on a good family holiday, because I've never been able to take them away before, because YouTube, it pays the bills, but, it's not brilliant. Yeah, shall I say. Yeah, so obviously they're all getting excited because, it's like that's happening. And it was just such a party atmosphere. It was just brilliant. We ordered takeaway. Literally, we're eating takeaway on the live stream because it's like, we're not quitting yet. It was a really good show. Really good show. I mean, what a hell of a launch, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just blown away by it. I mean, not that I was surprised, obviously, after seeing the first book. But, and besides, I mean, Mel, you're a great product, so I'm pretty sure you are all going to do just fine, So yeah, but it was amazing to see that. Like I went to work, bought my copy as soon as I saw it, and then went back to work, did the shift, whatever, got home, and I was like, oh wow, this thing is done already.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to see. I know, and I was telling Mel that I was really confident and they would fund quickly, but I honestly, this is, with it being my second Kickstarter project. Second book, but not a book. My first project with another person. I really had no idea how things were going to go, and I still have no idea how things are going to go.
It completely blindsided me. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like I say, it took me until literally just before the Kickstarter. Once we'd made the sort of announcement the week before, and I'd seen my patrons, and I'd seen YouTube commenters saying, I'll back it. You start, all right, then there is support for this, it's going to, but 7 hours What a roller coaster. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I think it was 3:00 when Dave told me on Facebook to go to bed because I'd posted, I can't stop watching, must stop watching Kickstarter. Can't.
Oh no!
It must have been addictive, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm just sure it was just feeling electric the whole time, right?
To be truthful, it was a hell of a ride. But you know when you have like the big surge, and then you like have the aftershock when everything the distractions are gone, and you're sitting there in the quiet, and you're sitting there. I'm sitting there with Kez in the evening, and I'm like, you can't have funded. And I'm refreshing. Yeah, it definitely funded. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, this is happening. And then you got the realities. You're gonna have to write a book. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is happening. I mean, we've planned it and all that sort of stuff, but just to be hit with the reality that, this is happening. Because I'm well known that I have a lot of doubts about myself and that sort of stuff, from all the past. And I doubt about my terrain. And my community always picks me up and that sort of stuff. But it's just the way I am. Yeah. So I personally think the community was waiting to sort of give me a right good slap with this one. Like, right, that's what we think of you. Now crack on. Get us our book. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got to do.
I'm super excited. So I guess without getting into spoilers, we're talking. I want to get into some of the meat and bones, I guess, of what we can kind of expect. So we know essentials, right?
Yeah. Do you want me to go through a bit of a rundown of how it's going to look? Yeah. Now, there's nothing majorly secret in this. So if you spent enough time digging through comments and odd bits here and there, you could probably put this all together. But I'll try and put it together as best I can. Okay. Book's going to come in essentially 3 content sections. Yeah. First content section is theoretical. Your design theories or your glues, materials, but it also covers sort of like the core technique. So all the little tips on everything from gluing and dry brushing and preventing warping and all the stuff that would apply to, it doesn't matter what you build. These tips are going to help you in that build. Yeah.
Yep.
After that, the next stage is sort of I'm calling it the sort of tutorial build content. Now that's not the title. It's just how I see it in my mind for when I'm putting it together. And you know what I mean? And that's all the stuff where I have, compared to video, because we're doing it in a book format, I have a phenomenal amount of time to take various pieces to I hate using the term the highest standard possible, but to a standard which is far higher than I'm able to do with the time constrictions of video production and YouTube and all that sort of stuff. Writing and taking photos of a build is far less time consuming than actually trying to video it. So I'm able to invest a lot more.
There's a lot of upload times and
there's
all that stuff that goes into it that people don't see.
And when you're doing it professionally and regularly and maintaining a channel and answering comments and all the palaver that goes with it, it's a factor of about 5. Yeah, increases the build time by 5 being on YouTube. Yeah, compared to writing, which is about 50%. I've written my own 40k blog for years. I mean, that's how me and Dave met. And I've done YouTube for years. So I know this statistic. So the amount of time I've got to invest in the builds is far more than I've got for YouTube, which means I'm able to actually take them to the standard that I just can't on YouTube. Yeah. So we've got the build section, which is all core builds, and I'm taking elements out of all the common ones. So there's going to be gothic, sci-fi, industrial ruins with skulls on the side and 40k stuff because I'm an Imperial Guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta remember those roots. Yeah,
yeah, man. I mean, that's how that was some of the first tables I built. My first tables. Yeah, and they're on the web. They're not brilliant. I'll be honest with you. 10 years ago, I've advanced quite a bit since then. Yeah, especially 5 years since I've been doing it technically professionally. Yeah, but my old blog was Corbania Prime, and you can see my terrain, you can see my 40k stuff on there, my conversions, and you can see my writing and how I do my tutorials as well. But I'm going to be able to take my stuff to a much higher standard. Yeah. And all the core elements are going to be covered. So there's going to be the 40k stuff. You're going to have the greenfield stuff. We're going to cover all the challenging stuff like the water, the pond, the rivers. If we get through stretch goals, there's some really good stuff along those lines coming. Yeah. Obviously, you've got the fantasy switch. Now, fantasy and medieval is pretty close. So actually, if you can be a bit cheeky, you can pull, quite a lot of the techniques off on with one build on that, one really nice big build. It's just got to have enough different elements in that you can go, a bit like with the 40K one. Yeah, you can build like, here's a ruined house. But if you build a ruined industrial facility with an admin block, you're covering the foam board ruins, and then you're covering the plastic industrial stuff and a whole load more techniques with just one build. So it's about designing the pieces, not so that exactly they look good, but, well, they're going to look good, but from a construction point of view. So I get as many different techniques, yeah, from that period or that genre in one building that you go, right, I'm going to nick that bit from the tower, or I'm going to go, I'm having those windows and I'm having that bit. Yeah. And we're going to cover all the, like I say, the major elements. So all the green fields, yeah. Obviously, we're going to cover bases, boards, mats, all that sort of stuff, because that's your core stuff. All the back to basic stuff, like your washes, your ceiling, fighting wall. Yeah,
that's
I mean,
really great, because that's my favorite playlist you have. Whenever somebody's like, "Hey, Will, how do you build terrain?" I'm like, "I don't know, but this guy does." So just watch the back to basics.
Yeah, well, I spent a couple of years teaching in further education, teaching anatomy and physiology, because I'm a physiotherapist after I came out of the army. Yeah, and so I ended up teaching. So I do actually have, a formal background in developing teaching structures. Yeah, so if you actually look at my YouTube channel, you can actually see that it's actually formulated in, here's the back to basics core principles, bit like the theory section in the book. And then if you look at the actual playlist after that, you've got a range of technical tutorials, and they're organized in playlists like foliage. Yeah, buildings and ruin,
where
water and snow.
Build up on the previous and Yeah,
and the techniques within those build on each other, and they provide multiple techniques, but they're almost like chapters or modules. Into the YouTube channel, I approached it and I set out a structure going forward for years of, this is how I'm going to catalog my videos, and this is the videos I'm going to film for. And I've just transferred that over to the book. So it covers all the genres, it covers all the basics. So all the theories, everything I know to this point. The build tutorials are literally as many techniques I can show you with the pages I have available, because we're gaining more on stretch goals, to the highest standard I can do within reason, but far higher than you've seen from me before. And then finally, we've got sort of the ancillary sort of pages. Now these are obviously there's going to be techniques I can't show, just simply because I can't build absolutely everything new to show every technique. So if I've got like, here's a thatch technique, what I can do is also say, right, there's also this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way of doing it. For those, I can go back to my old videos, grab a couple of pictures, put a couple of paragraphs in, so that someone can come along, look at the build and go, right, I love the build, but I can't do that thatch. They can look at the ancillary techniques, go, I've got that. There's a couple of paragraphs from Mel saying that here's the key points. And then basically they go, right, I can do that. And it drops the barrier to build. So that's the deep delve into the book. It's basically the idea of covering all the genres, but reinforcing it with that sort of Mel thing, which is, here's the core techniques, here's the core science that sort of travels across the top. Just apply it.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's more, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not like, here's how to build 28 millimeter barbed wire. It's going to be more so like, here are the concepts you need to build anything in 28 millimeter that you want, not just one particular type of building or one particular type of hill. You can take this.
Nah. It's both, mate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's good.
Yeah, basically the theoreticals, anything which you would use on any project. So if you imagine you just suck the theme out of it, what you're building for, just imagine you're building something. Anything you know that you're going to be doing on that one, that you're going to be doing something that you're going to be probably doing something pretty similar, but perhaps with different colors, different flocks, different materials, but on a different one, they're core principles, anything that's shared across. So that's covered across everything. So imagine the theoretical side and the core sort of core technique side. If it's difficult to say how much of the book it is because stretch goals, you know what I mean? Yeah, but
sure.
imagine, let's say, right now it's sitting about, I think it's about 35%, maybe 40%. Yeah, Dave will correct me on that if he's got the time to check. Yeah, we've been caught out on that one. But you just with that alone, you'll be able to walk away and build whatever you want. Look at the rest of the book. The rest of the book, yeah, is about taking the most common ones and giving you a bit of a guide, and at the same time, actually showing you more in depth on very specific things that relate to that, what you call it. So, for example, in the core techniques, I wouldn't really cover Rust. But through the industrial 40K stuff, I can go into Rust. But you could be rusting up barbed wire for a D-Day board. Sure. The technique carries across, but do you see what I mean about the idea of, look, here's the general core skills you run with, and we cover that. So a railroad modeler can pick it up. I've got a couple of backers, yeah. They fancy up doll houses.
Yep. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so exactly.
That's phenomenal, man.
Yeah,
just the whole concept.
That front bit.
Yeah.
Tutorial bits, it's about giving people the confidence and the ideas and showing them specifically, yeah, in context. Look, these are how you use these techniques to produce this, but these are all the tips on the really clever stuff to make this sort of type of terrain look brill. And remember, if you can't do any of these, this is the punt to those ancillary pages where there's a whole list of other techniques and other materials and other ways of doing it that perhaps I didn't have the pages to go in full, or didn't have the time to actually build, to illustrate, but they're in the book as well. I mean, basically, you're getting a hell of a knowledge dump. You're getting as much of a knowledge dump as I can give you.
That's insane. That's amazing, dude. Thank you. Yeah, so it does sound like it's exactly the essentials. It's going to be everything you need to build a board of your own.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm most excited about it is that Mel's approach to terrain building and learning and teaching terrain building is kind of different to mine. I usually find a technique that I like and I stick with it and I try and apply it to everything. But Mel is all about exploring and learning new techniques, trying a whole bunch of different glues and testing them out and seeing what works. There's a very sort of exploratory approach that he takes, and can then present all those different ways, sort of depending on what result you're trying to get to. So that's the thing I'm excited about. From the reading side of things.
That's actually based on a little personal principle of mine. I have this thing, yeah, because I love learning, not just about terrain, but about all sorts of things. But I have this sort of personal thing, yeah, that when it comes to terrain techniques and stuff like that, other than what I'm sort of showing in the videos, but when I'm doing things personally, once I figure that I've got a solid handle on a technique, I stop using it and find myself a new technique to learn to do the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's not just that, it's sort of like cross training, because while you're taking a break on the other one, your brain's processing that information and coming up with new little ideas. And at the same time, you're applying the information you've learned from the first technique to the second technique. That comes up with ways of reinforcing the first technique. And then once you've mastered the second technique and not mastered, but you're happy with it, you stop using that and move on to a third technique. And it becomes this growing sort of way of completely understanding how to apply whatever it is you're applying from a palette or from a tube to a piece of terrain to get the effect that you want through as many different mediums as possible. It's kind of weird. I'm just built like that.
No, that's an outstanding way of thinking of things, honestly. I mean, just with anything, really. If you're painting miniatures even, right? Like you start on acrylics, and then if you want to try to move on to weathering enamels or something like that, and then move on to pigments, I mean, it's all the same. Yeah.
It actually goes back to my Imperial Guard days. You see, I made the stupid decision of, do you remember, I think it was 5th edition, when the Guard got, when the Guard got tactical missile launch, tactical death wings, death strikes, that was it.
Yep.
Yeah, as a heavy choice, and everything armored up, and we got the Valks.
Mm-hmm.
I made a pledge to myself to make a complete Yeah, troop choice. Pad out every support option. So, the 5-man of every different type of heavy support weapon, the two, special weapon teams, I think it was 6 full squads, the command squad, and then 50 conscripts. Yeah. And after I finished painting,
they were massive. Yeah.
And after I finished painting all those guardsmen, using exactly the same technique, I came up with this principle of I ain't using the same technique to do the same thing over and over again. It took about a year and a half for me. And it was like, I want to do something different.
Yeah, so a year and a half might break a man. Yeah, that's,
I'm glad I decided to change before I decided to do two troop choices.
Yeah, that was back when a single troop choice was what is the equivalent to an army now.
God, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were big guard armies, were big guard armies, you know what I mean? I mean, I've had quite a few 40k armies because I started with fantasy back when I was 15, yeah? I had a skeleton army and Rogue Trader was just coming out, so you dabbled with Marines. Mm-hmm. But the real gameplay was mainly in like Adeptus Titanicus and Space Marine, the epic game. Mm-hmm. Because there wasn't the miniature support for Rogue Trader at the time. Not compared to what they were doing with Epic and that sort of stuff. But, join the army, discover beer, discover girls,
As one does. Yeah.
As one does. And then, mid sort of 20s, find a box of minis with a load of paints in, back of my mum's, and hey presto, straight back in the hobby. I think I found a box of Gene Stealers, and within a month I think I've got like 200 painted gaunts. I was straight back in, and I think I did it again.
A relapse, exactly, if you will.
I painted 600 gaunts technique as well. Yeah, that's on my blog, Corbania Prime. There's just this massive horde army of so many models. But I played Gene Stealers, I played Space Marines. I did a custom Deathwing army for those. I then did I did a Inquisition, a Grey Knight army. Yeah, I can't say Inquisition at the minute. It's been a long week, guys. Yeah, and then after that, I sort of dropped into this idea of doing this inquisitorial Corbania Prime Guard army. You know what I mean? That was the fluff around them. Yeah, but I was a 40K for a good, I don't know, would you say about 5, 6, 7 years, Dave, before I disappeared off the blogging scene, with life and all that sort of stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I think so.
So
I painted a lot of models.
You still play 40K then? I know we're tracking off the book a bit, but do you still play, or do you do like more bolt action now, or any of the more World War II era, or maybe even Team Yankee or anything like that?
I don't play 40K at the minute, and it's not because I don't want to, it's just the game has accelerated so fast. Yeah, and there's so much time needed to invest in it, and not just that, money needed to invest in it to get into it, to get to the style of play and the sort of play. I'm not saying uber competitive, but I'm not a newbie at 40K, but to come back in at the newbie stage and build up again, just painting the armies, and I don't have the time. Yeah, so to be perfectly honest, I invest my time in the IP. Yeah, so my downtime from doing terrain, I'm I love the Horus Heresy. I'm not actually interested in the actual battle, for Terror. I'm really interested in how we went from the secular society the Emperor set up to, what we consider modern day 40K with the Lords of Terror and, the politics that, how did we go from the idea that we were a secular society to having like the Adeptus Ministorum with so much power.
Yeah.
I mean, when I read the Horus Heresy books, I'm not really that interested in the battle scenes. I've been there, done that, I've seen the bang bangs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's all very dramatic and right, and they're written okay. Yeah. But I like the politics in the 40K.
Absolutely.
It's so medieval almost. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? They're stabbing each other in the back, to their both detriment almost. Do you know what I mean? It's that medieval thinking almost. And I love that sort of stuff. At the minute, I've just started, getting into Yarrick. Okay, you know, the big omnibus. Yeah, because I've got to fly to Chicago, so I reckon I've got some serious reading to do on a plane.
Oh yeah,
And it's a
there you
huge
go.
flight.
Best time to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to nail it. Yeah, flying there, flying back. Yeah, but that was the plan, but I've already read the first book out of it, and I'm really hooked. So my wife's had to take it off me, so I've got it for the plane. Yeah, but my biggest problem is Kez is like, I'll be reading away, and she'll see me and sort of like doing things with my hands and just maybe pick up my phone and, you know, just imaginary tapping on my phone. And she says, "You're thinking of builds, aren't you?" Yeah, and I'm reading the book. I want to build that.
Oh, dang. I didn't even think about that. So that's a problem I have is when I read a book and they'll describe an army, I'm like, I have got to build an army based off of this book and theme it. So is it the same way for terrain for you then?
Oh,
when they're describing the Imperial Palace or something like that, and you're thinking, how can I do that? How can I bring this to life?
Guys, it's not just 40k. I mean, 40k is so evocative, you know what I mean? And you could almost flick the pages, you know, yeah, and stop on a random page and be guaranteed you're going to get, you know, if there's something going on that's action, you'll get a description of a really nice table. Yeah, because the 40k is descriptive and it's epic and it's gothic and it's dystopian, or it's wonderfully technological, or it's wonderfully weirdly alien. I mean, there's one, Murder, the planet Murder, with all the weird dimensions. How the hell would you model that?
I don't even know how to start. Yeah,
I mean, they couldn't describe it.
I couldn't put physical form something that alien.
I was having like real mental challenges of how would I do that? I mean, I could see the mushrooms, but how would I represent the changes in gravity and the changes in like up is down and down is up? Yeah, because these are the challenges I see from the terrain. But it's not just 40k. I mean, I'm at a stage where the wife stops good programs to go, look at that. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, I can't watch the TV because I'm thinking about how I want to build that mountain.
Well, yeah, I saw your D-Day board, which was breathtaking, you know? So did you actually go like do a recon of the actual beach or look at maps and pictures to do that when you're doing like a real life sort of I guess modern?
To be truthful, I actually really struggle with planning terrain pieces. Yeah, and I know I give advice on it and I know how to do it, but the way my brain works is I can't really draw it down and plan it out. I'll do a rough plan, so I'll know things like important measurements, like can I fit these buildings on here? Is there enough room for troops to move through there? You know, if I put these levels of height, is it going to end up too big to fit in the boot of the car? Right. You know, and those sort of factors, yeah. But I see those as like almost like a safety checklist, just to make sure I don't get all the way through the build or get halfway through the build and go, damn, that's not going to fit in the boot. Yeah. But with the actual regards to thinking about the style and the look, yeah, it's in my head. And it comes from lots of composite different references. So my D-Day board probably came from 80 different pieces, from terrain builds to movies to holidays to some rocks I saw when I was away with the kids like the summer before. Yeah, my brain sort of puts them together, which is wonderful, except that my brain doesn't reveal it to me in one big, in one big reveal. Yeah, it will show me the bits it's decided that it likes. Yeah, and so the terrain board gets revealed, and this was actually a hamper on the D-Day board, because if you go back to the vlogs, and I think it's the second vlog, yeah, I have to actually acknowledge that I can only really work on this side of the board, yeah, and I actually have to take one side of the board, to a significantly higher standard, because I can't see that one. I literally can't see where the knife needs to go. Yeah, but the moment it clarities what I'm doing, yeah, I just do it. And then I step back. There's no conscious thought in how am I going to do this hill. My brain just goes, just put your blade on. I'll leave that to me. Yeah, it's almost like I'm along for the ride. It seems to work, you know.
You're possessed by the spirits.
You know, I'm the Lord of Change.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we had some heavy drinking sessions back in those 40k days, but I mean, I'm starting to wonder a bit about possession, actually.
It could be, mate.
Yeah, that's just essentially when it comes to, inspiration. So I really struggle to switch off with terrain. I have to find hobbies that don't involve anything that is remotely terrain, which means basically everything arts and crafts is out. Yeah. Everything outdoors is out because you look at stuff and immediately start seeing a terrain.
Yeah. Well, hey,
I mean,
let
it's
me
even
ask
weird.
you, what are your sandcastles like? You guys ever go to the beach and just build these massive sandcastles?
I'm not allowed to do that. Last
No?
time I did. No.
No, you
The
accidentally
last-
fortified a beach with a real fort, I bet, huh?
No, the last time I did that, I got a good bit carried away, yeah, and I sort of upset the local kids and stuff like that. So it was like, no, you can't really do that. They spent ages making their sandcastle, and you built a Mott and Bailey. You're putting the fortifications in. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like I'm not allowed to build sandcastles. And generally, when I'm at the beach, I'm doing one or two things: nicking sand, for my terrain. Yeah, or taking a real good look at what, marks on the coast of the cliffs. What colour are they actually? Walking down and actually looking at the bit where you've got the water come in and the dry bit and going, right, what colour are they? And what's the line like up and down the beach? That's just the way.
Because I got to say, I've done the same in a sense where I'll be out and I'll see a we have cats, which are the construction vehicles here.
Yeah.
And they'll get the mud on them and the dirt and grime, and I'll be like, I gotta go take a picture of that so I can reference that later on a model.
I think that's the beauty and the curse of being essentially in a modeling hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to see your hobby. You know what I mean? I imagine it's exactly the same that if you're into fishing and you pass a pond, you're immediately going to be drawn into your hobby mind and, I'd like to fish there and I wonder where the best fish are. And do you know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I know. For me personally, I'll be sitting down in a chair and I'll look at my pants leg and just think, okay, how would I dry brush these creases on my pant?
You do look.
It's funny. You look at the whole world in a different lens.
You do. I mean, I went through a weird sort of stage for a while where I looked at fields, in highlight, mid, and shade. I couldn't see the grass. Well, I could see the grass, obviously. But when I looked at it, I could see where, right, that's where if I'd made that, that's where the sprinkling of the light stuff would be. See those little dips there where the grass is longer and darker and greener. That's where the water's gathered and made it dark and greener, and it's growing more because it's got more water. That bit there, that's bare. That's where it's been dried down, it's drained, and it's harder, so the grass is shorter and lighter and a bit baked. So throw a little yellow in there. And I used to look at fields like that and just like, well, I was trying to figure out my concepts for flocking and that sort of stuff and laying grass fields down. It was weird as hell. It was like looking at one of those impressionist paintings.
Yep. You can definitely see that.
Yeah. So I have a completely
Probably coming off as quite weird now, aren't I?
Yeah. So a completely unloaded question for both Dave and Mel. What hobby project are you most proud of to date?
Hey, boy.
Oh.
And like I said, I know it's completely unloaded question.
Yeah. I don't know at all. Oh, geez. No. Sorry, can't answer that one.
No, not a problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, I've been talking solid for God knows how long with non-stop. Yeah, I pass it over to you and you drop the ball, Dave.
Well, mate, I had so many fantastic little smart ass comments. I could have thrown in all the way through that, but you didn't pull it.
Oh, man. I
like
wasn't giving you a break, mate. I wasn't giving you a break. Right.
I know.
Tell you what.
Okay, back to you
I'll
then.
have a chat about mine, and Dave can have a little think while he thinks of some smart ass comments to come up with. We're lucky we're buddies. It really is. I mean, I know we have little digs, but he's a brilliant guy to work with. But okay, right. Hobby projects. Yeah, working with him is always a banter. But anyway, right, cracking on. Hobby projects. Probably the one I'm most proud of, is my Burma build. Yeah, my jungle build that I'm doing for my Chindit army, my bolt action Chindit army. That's probably it's probably the most detailed and the most high level one, on my channel. And that's because it's a personal one. I'm under no pressure time-wise with it, so I can take my time and, make it where I really want to make it. And it is beautiful. So I'm quite proud of that. Off the other side, modeling and painting, I've got to say it's Dungeon Saga from Mantic Games. And the reason being is that that's a family project. So my wife's helped painted models, my kids paint models for it. We've all dipped in and helped make terrain for, playing the games on and that sort of stuff. And it's a family game. Yeah. I like it as a family game because as a hobby project, it's low investment, but long-term payoff. Between the family, we can go out and we can go to a con and we can all pick up like a couple of models from Reaper or something like that.
Sure.
Here's a vampire, here's a spider. We've all got a couple of little things we can dip in and paint. So it's all low pressure, and you've already got the game. And then we play a modified version of Dungeon Saga. So we use the basic Dungeon Saga fight mechanics and battle mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah. But rather than playing out the entire mission as a board game, we break it up into little rooms and we role play it in between.
That's so nice.
It's an easy.
That's cool.
We started playing Dungeon Saga and I thought, well, the kids know the fight mechanics. In the Adventures Companion, which is the expansion, the advanced rules, there's an upgrade system and a character creation system.
Yeah, it turns it into an RPG game. Yeah.
We just bolted in some RGP rules, come up with like a marching order for when they go into the room. And then we have a couple of little rules that once you go into a room, if you're in combat, you can't talk to the other person. You can only say what you're going to do. Or perhaps if you're so close, you can shout across, but they have to roll a dice, and the person might, if it rolls a 1, they might do the complete opposite. So you get this sort of situation where, they want to talk to each other, but they're in combat. So that it sort of encourages the kids to right, depending on what's behind this door, what's our battle plan before we open the door, and then try through the nature of combat of, oh my God, it's a troll. We didn't think about this, and then, one of them tries screaming to the other to say no, freeze him with your spell. And then they roll a 1 and the wizard says, I'm not going to freeze him. I'm going to heal you instead, because I so we have these little dynamic sort of family little rules, just little simple things that we've bolted in and they've done a couple of times enough for it to become, we understand that's part of the mechanics. And so that's a real good, proud one because it's what I got into the hobby about, playing with my kids and enjoying it and that sort of stuff. But for wargaming, it's my Burma board. Yeah, that's
especially
what we do, isn't it?
You can include the whole family like that. Like my daughter is 4, and I'm trying to get her into it. We're starting small, obviously. Her being 4 only, starting Candyland, and then Chutes and Ladders, and next I'm just going to throw her into X-Wing Dogfight. So hey,
I tried X-Wing with my lad. Yeah. He one-shotted me first turn. Yeah.
Rage quit.
Action. Yeah. Mate, I'll tell you what, he was a smug little. You know what I mean? He's sitting back, he got that look on his face. Yeah. But what was worse is, I thought, all right, we'll get back into bolt action. You know what I mean? Not just that, X-Wing has gone up to 2nd edition. We're still playing, we've still got 1st edition, we haven't upgraded. And so it's I'm not ready to, right, I don't want to buy all the upgrade packs because I'll have to buy 2 packs and all the new ships are, 2nd edition.
Boat, yeah.
So at the minute, I'm just sitting on it. You know what I mean? As we can play it as it is right now, but, if I'm going to invest time and hobby time, because my lad plays bolt action as well. So we've been playing my Burma board since we've updated it. Yeah, he mortared me off the table by turn two times in a row.
No.
I'm telling you what, yep. It's going to be one of those kids you don't want to play with. Yeah, I've never. I'll tell you what. Yeah, have you ever heard the term a six fairy?
I can't say I have.
Right. A six fairy is a term in UK gaming clubs for those people who just naturally just roll sixes when they need them. You know the sort.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got them. We call them jerk-offs.
Well, you know, gaming club scene, yeah, we call them six fairies. You know, because they are twinkle toes, roll your sixes. Oh, look, there's sprinkling of magic dust. There you are. You've made your saves. Great. You know what I mean? Yeah, and he's just rolling these sixes and sixes and sixes. I mean, at some point, he does dice rolls, and I'm thinking, I've seen games where you can win cars for rolls like that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
Go down to the dealer, and if you can roll six sixes on six dice, you know, you get a car. And I'm like, that's his saves. And I'm like, dude, we don't need to be rolling in the studio. We need to be down at the car dealership.
I gotta say, I'm the opposite. If I need to roll a 2 on 10 dice, I will roll 1s on all 10 dice, and it has happened before in a game.
Oh, mate, the dice gods can be fickle with me,
They
but I have learned.
Yeah.
I've learned to say, hey, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a 2 or anything but a 1. Every time I say that, yeah, I can't roll a dice. Also, yeah, I've also learned every time I refer to my Imperial Guard missile launchers as missile launchers instead of rocket launchers, they missed.
Yeah.
That they got renamed as rocket launchers.
Right? Yeah.
Yep, it was there in the name. It was staring in the face.
I'll tell you what, I'm not a superstitious person like that and that sort of stuff, but the hobby is probably the most superstitious thing I'm superstitious about.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Generally,
absolutely.
you know, in the day, I've got no worries, yeah? If I roll really good on a set of dice, I'll be like, I'll have fresh dice.
Yeah.
The luck's gone on them.
Crack all day long. You know, I'll break mirrors, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. All that sort of stuff. But when it comes to the hobby...
Yep.
Definitely. So
that's my sort of proudest hobby things to wrap that up.
That's excellent. Well, that brings it back to Dave.
Oh, and I've had time to think. I don't know. I have trouble sort of going through it because I think every time I complete a project, I'm very proud of it, and then I start on the next project.
That makes sense.
I complete that project, I'm very proud of it, kind of thing. So
I would also take your last book as also an answer too.
Yeah. I had a feeling at the start that was what you were fishing for, but
no, it's fine.
But no, I've been playing with my daughters as well, getting them into a bit of gaming, and we played a board a game and played a game called Stuffed Fables, which is a really great storybook kind of format. So you have miniatures, and the story that you play like a little mini adventures that are about 5 or 6 pages long. 5 or 6 spreads long. Each spread in the book, like one side of the page is the board that you're playing on. So it's divided into squares. It might be in this particular one. It might be like a scrap heap of toys, or it might be a factory where they're assembling toys, or it could be a little village where toys live. Because in Stuffed Fables, you're playing as like stuffed animals. Basically, you might be a pig or a lion or an elephant. But it's a lot of fun for them to connect to it. And the right-hand side of the page or the spread is sort of the information about sort of how to play through that page. And once you get to the end, you take everything off the board, you turn the page, start again. And they're really enjoying that. They painted all of the bad guys in it.
Very cool.
There's some of those really cool sort of creepy crawlies, just like from Toy Story. Like the doll.
Oh, yeah, the little
yeah.
toys, yeah.
Yeah.
hodgepodge toys, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So no, they really enjoy it. My youngest daughter is super competitive. So it's really interesting. The game itself is very it requires a lot of cooperation. So it's really exciting to see the sort of her being torn between wanting to rush ahead and do the thing and get the stuff, and understanding that she needs to come back and help us out a little bit because we have to work together.
Yeah.
So the just to see her go through that, that's there's a lot of pride in that as well, I guess. Not that it really had anything to do with it, but it's just exciting to see. It's fun.
No, absolutely. When you're able to share in these hobbies and these games with your kids, it's great.
I had one very similar to that, Dave, with Corbin and his cousin. We're playing Hero Quest. Yeah, it's sort of butchered rules.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there was him and his cousin had been battling through this dungeon, yeah, and if they killed this sort of big boss, yeah, they got this big reward. But I'd written it in such a way that whoever kills the big boss, yeah, gets like the big reward. And literally, they get to the room, yeah, and his cousin turns and he goes to shoot Corbin.
No.
Yeah, but no. Hear this out. So Corbin literally gets down to his last life. Yeah. And I'm like, well, you can attack him back, but you're probably going to die. So you know, if you want to get the gold, you've got do one. Yeah. So he did one. Yeah. Corbin, he just run one after being betrayed by his cousin. Yeah. His cousin had a horrendous, run of rolls, killing the big boss. Yeah, and by the time he killed him, he got this massive mob of orcs coming after him. So he was running back. Yeah, and imagine he's sort of like 2 turns behind Corbin, if you imagine the way Hero Quest works. You know what I mean, guys? Yeah?
Yeah.
And and he turns and he's just about to get attacked, and he turns on that, in real life across the table to Corbin and goes, "Please help me." And that was the moment when Corbin became the sort of person that, "No, you don't do that to me, mate." Yeah, and Corbin just legged it out of there with the gold he got and just left him to the orcs. Yeah, no mercy. And they had to go play with each other afterwards, after the game, and sit down and have tea together. Yeah, as one had betrayed the other, and then the other just walked away from him in the game. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. Going to have a word with my uncle, with my brother, his my cousin's dad. Yep. Bro, we need to have a chat. There's something that's happened.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice. Well, Mel, I know it's nearly 1 a.m. across the pond where you're at. We don't want to.
It certainly is.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to hold you up.
It's not time to do.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming and talking with us.
Oh, sorry if I've rabbited too much, guys.
Oh, no, not a bit. We could listen to you for hours on end. This has been a fantastic time.
Yeah, it's been great, guys.
Thank you guys very much for coming on. I do appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So we got Mel Bose, the terrain tutor, and Dave Taylor of Dave Taylor Miniatures. Their Kickstarter, Terrain Essentials, an essential guide to building terrain, is out now. Go ahead and back that project. Thank you, guys.
Always.
Thank you.
Hey folks, this is Jesse. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. Be sure to check out rr30k.com. Check us out on Facebook. And before we wrap things up, I just want to give a shout out to some Heresy events here in the United States. First one is Games U in Gilbert, Arizona on Sunday, April the 14th. The Ordo Plasticus at Games U in Gilbert, Arizona, they will be having the War for Ducimus Prime. This is a narrative event incorporating standard 30k and Centurion formats in a branching conflict for a Bastion system. Also, they will have an Adeptus Titanicus tournament on April 28th at the same location. The event is also accessible through the Ordo Plasticus's event page. That's ORDO space PLASTICUS Wargaming Club. For those of you in the Texas area, the Lone Star Legion presents Paradise Lost, a 3-day Age of Darkness narrative event at the Dallas Open GT being held at the Grapevine Convention Center on April 12th through 14th. The cost is $55. There will be 1,000-point Zone Mortalis and 1,500-point Centurion battles on Friday, 2,500 or 3,000-point frontline games on Saturday, and a Mega Battle event for all your big toys on Sunday. Bring your forces to Texas to decide the fate of the Sordes system and its Archaeotech vaults. Special characters are allowed, and a character advancement system will be in place for those who take generic characters. On March 30th of 2019, we have Vengeance in the Void. The galaxy burns, war has spread to all reaches of the Imperium, an orbital platform used by trader fleets as a rearm and refit center has come under attack by splinter cells of Loyalist forces. This game day event, players will play 3 1,250-point Zone Mortalis games. Players will face off between Loyalist and Trader. This is a fully painted event, the entry fee is $10, and it will be held at Battlegrounds in Midlothian, Virginia. Check out Remembrancers Retreat on Facebook for more details on the event.